Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Docs Huddle, your gateway to an in depth connection between sports medicine and the latest events in sports, fantasy, and betting. Today's show is brought to you by the Health and Wellness Depot. Unlock the power of well being. I'm Dr. Mikey B. With me, as always, CJ, the sports enthusiast, and Dr. MJB, the legend. Gentlemen, week 2 still going on. We have a game currently playing at the moment with the Buccaneers taking on the Texans in Houston. It's currently 7-7, so you got yourselves a game there for those who are not currently watching and will be tuning into that game after watching our show, of course. And then we have the night game, which we'll be talking about shortly, between the LA Chargers visiting the Las Vegas Raiders. So
Yeah.
in reviewing a big week 2, we had a lot of stuff going on. Let's just
a lot of
jump right
exciting games.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, sure. I would say, we're biased because we're both Giant fans, but definitely one game that I know we both wanted to highlight was the Giants and Cowboys. I think it was the first week that we saw the Giants offense in a long time be productive.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson looked amazing. He passed
great.
450 passing yards, I think it was.
Yep, 3 TDs. He looked awesome. He looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. Malik Neighbors looked great. Wan'Dale Robinson basically had his career year, which I know I guess it's not saying much because there really hasn't been much production there. But we finally saw a spark there, which was pretty cool. Darius Slayton had a couple of nice deep ball grabs. Overall, it was exciting to see the offense fire on almost all cylinders, and I say almost because there was almost 200 yards of offense by the Giants alone given up in penalties. Giants had 17 penalties for over 100 yards. It was insane. I mean, ongoing jokes about James Hudson. So James Hudson, the backup left tackle for Andrew Thomas, was benched after the first series because he's the first player in NFL history to have 4 penalties commit in the same drive. And it was almost so bad. It was so bad that you could joke that it looked like he was employed by the Cowboys trying to sabotage such a great drive by the New York Giants. Obviously, we know that wasn't the case. But, however, it was brutal. It was brutal to watch. And he might have lost his job because rookie Marcus Bowe goes in there, and he looked great. I mean, all things considered.
Yeah.
So that's also promising for the Giants. And unfortunately, to recap the ending there, as exciting as the fourth quarter was, the legend and I were speaking off air earlier today, and it's something that teams, especially when you play the Cowboys, are really going to have to consider. When a team has a guy like Brandon Aubrey with the new kickoff rules, it makes things very difficult to prevent, a tie or a win in that scenario. Because in actuality, when playing the Cowboys, you can't kick it out of the end zone because you kick it out of the end zone, they're going to the 35. If you keep it in, which they did a good job, you got to be careful with a return, which they have great return men on the Cowboys where they got themselves in good field position. And then all you got to do is get a first down or two and you're in Brandon Aubrey's range, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So,
which is what happened. Yeah.
Right. Exactly right. My biggest frustration is from the defensive side of the ball. Okay. And I can't wait I know we spoke about this off air, but MJB, I want you to chime in on this because we know it's not just the Giants, it's around the league. And I understand that Brian Daboll said in his press conference that they were matching up tight with the receivers. I didn't see it. It looked like they were running a soft shell defense, just trying to keep the guys in front of them. Listen, at that point in time, knowing that they just need to get, especially in overtime, and that they just need to get a field goal, you gotta risk giving up the big play, and you got to play these guys more up in press and press coverage because you're giving them all this space underneath. They're just going to eat away at it, chip away at it, and boof, field goal, tie, boof, field goal, win, and then the Giants lose. So that drove me up the wall watching that yesterday. But what are your thoughts as the Giants fan and MJB, the guy who loves man coverage himself? I want to hear more about your thoughts.
Well, as far as the coverage goes, I'd have to go back and actually watch it closer. But I did want to just emphasize the fact that you did mention before the penalties. I think that was the killer for the Giants. I mean, the penalties were ridiculous, and as you already mentioned, benching O lineman for committing penalties it's insane. That's just crazy. But
It shouldn't happen. Absolutely should not happen.
it definitely shouldn't happen.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I think in today's league, man, just seeing a lot of teams shy away from playing man. It's been a lot more zone coverage throughout, and it bothers the hell out of me, man, because at times, at least throw it in there as a wrinkle, right? If you're a primarily zone team, fine, but at least keep the offense guessing. Throw it in there as a wrinkle. Some teams, they don't even hide it. They don't even try to disguise it during like 2-minute drills or at the end of games, and it's like, yeah, they know you're playing soft coverage. They have 2 minutes. The obvious thing is for them to take what's given and just drive down the field. Why not disguise things? Why not throw them off? Like this, or even if you're going to stay in zone, throw different blitz packages at them. But it's just awful to see. And I've seen it time after time watching Panthers games, and I'm just like, I'm over the fact that man coverage is not being played as much as we are accustomed to seeing it when we were younger. And it just allows offense to kind of just dictate the game and do whatever they want. And you run the risk of losing the game that way.
Yeah, we always used to joke around prevent defense prevents winning, right? We weren't in a prevent defense, but we were still what I perceived, right? We don't get the 22 coaches film, but from what I saw on TV, it certainly looked like we were giving these guys a good enough cushion where they could play underneath, and there was a soft enough shell where I think that was one of the things that led to the final loss in at the end, or the tie at the end of overtime and the loss in OT. There's a million different things, the penalties, this and that, but it comes down to if you score 37 points, you should win a football game.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to look at the defense here and say, dude, what happened? But anyway, I think it's promising. We know that, Scott Van Pelt on ESPN showed a brutal statistic, which we already, we heard of. But as of the more recent 2020 to now, any team that has gone 0-2 have a 12% chance of making the playoffs. If you are 1-1, you have, I believe I've read the statistic is around exactly, a 41 to 43% chance. And if you're 2-0, there's only 79% of those teams make the playoffs. So if you're sitting 2-0, you're looking pretty good. If you're sitting 0-2 like the New York Giants, rough. Or the Carolina Panthers, rough.
I have a question for both of you guys. Looking at the games from yesterday, obviously we're not going to talk about the ones today, but go ahead and give me your one surprising win and one surprising loss, or as expected loss, I guess.
I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to go with the surprising win, which I guess penalty at the end of the game could have altered that win, would have been the Colts over the Broncos.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones thrown for 316 yards, 1 TD, and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
He is right now the Colts are the first team in the Super Bowl era to go the first 2 weeks of the season without having a punt in a single time. So punting at all. So that's just a wild stat to throw out there. At the end of the game, I don't know if you guys saw it though. The Broncos did. I don't remember what the penalty was, but they got a penalty and they gave the kicker of the Colts a second try.
It was leverage. So yeah, that was brutal. So
they should have lost.
You can't push off of the long snapper. And they pushed off the long snapper or one of his other players and long snapper, which they call leverage. That's a penalty. They get to move up closer and re-kick, and that was nail in the coffin.
Jeez.
Yeah, but the Broncos are powerful both defensively and on offense. So it was just a shock to see that they still lost that game, and even for how close it was, I thought they would have been able to pull it out with a much bigger gap, but.
I completely
looking great
completely
right
agree.
Now, so.
No, I completely agree. That was mine, but I'll notate 2 other quick ones that I thought were worth noting. One, honestly, I know that the Dolphins looked abysmal in week 1, but historically, the New England Patriots do not go down to Miami and play well, ever. ever, ever, ever. And for how the Dolphins looked, putting up 27 points, they started getting things going, and then to still lose in the fashion that they did by just blowing it. I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but I think it's, they started looking better than we thought they were, and then it ends like Dennis Green. They are who we thought they were, and not good. So Dolphins are looking pretty awful. They're 0-2. They're definitely not making the playoffs. And then
and I would definitely want to mention too, though, the Vikings. I know the Falcons are.
That was the other one.
Yeah, but the Viking. I know that the Falcons have a good defense. I was just still surprised to see how shut down. I mean, JJ McCarthy played very not well, but I was still surprised to see how Minnesota was completely shut down on offense. I was just shocked that basically the Falcons beat them on every side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, listen, don't forget, this was the first time I got to see both Jalen Walker and James Pierce. They're 2 first-round draft picks, both at edge rusher. And, bro, they both got sacks last night. They were getting after it. For years, we're making fun of the Falcons because they have no pass rush. 2 years ago, they could have gone with the top 2 defensive ends, edge rushers in the draft. No, they go Michael Penix. We're like, you idiots. Well, last night, Penix looked good enough, and then you have these 2 guys playing like absolute savages off the edge. I mean, it was pretty cool to see. The Vikings, they are not what we thought they were.
Yeah.
I think week 1 was fraud, and I think that after seeing the Lions abolish the Chicago Bears, so the Lions abolished the Chicago Bears, and then the Vikings had that comeback against the Bears. I think it's safe to say, guys, after 2 weeks, we can at least infer that it's not so much that the Vikings are that good, but the Bears are also that bad.
Yep.
So another 2 team in the Bears.
My surprise win, dude, from yesterday was the Bengals winning. The Jags had that game in the bag, man, and then
in the bag, dude.
And Burrow goes down and you still lose. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Awful. No, I didn't want to. I was just gonna say in that game, you know who had that costly PI penalty to keep the drive going for the Bengals? Travis Hunter. Rough. The guy, he's a rookie. Hopefully, you don't love to see that, but with more experience, hopefully that does not occur. You don't want your franchise player that you give up, everything for to now be the one costing you a game. So hopefully he learns from it and does better next week.
Yeah, and then my surprise win were the Seahawks. I really thought Steelers were going to take that game.
Yeah, I agree.
Boy, I thought Sam Darnold was one and done, and hey, listen, we might be saying it. He's a decent quarterback. he may not do anything in the playoffs, but he's a decent quarterback compared to some of these other guys we've seen. I mean, damn.
No, I mean, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. I think, a lot of guys, it just goes to show you that the offense that they're in, the coaching that they have around them, the scheming, all that plays a role. Yeah. I'm also very based off of that. You know how everyone says that if you end up in Kyle Shanahan's offense, like most quarterbacks can succeed, and it's just interesting that Mac Jones it's one game, but he balled out, and everyone was talking about Brock Purdy. It's not just a scheme. He's really, really good. And I think that he's a good quarterback. I do. I think Brock Purdy's been very, very formidable. And just like we talked about, like Jalen Hurts and all these different quarterbacks that are succeeding in their current place, you can't put that against them. That's where they're at and they're succeeding. But I'm just curious, like if Brock Purdy remains out over the next few weeks and Mac Jones continues to flourish, it makes you think, how good is that offensive scheme for quarterbacks, and how much is it the quarterback itself? Right? Pretty interesting. Yeah. So any other games you guys wish to review?
No, I think the only other thing that I would say is Travis Kelce should have caught that ball in the end zone, and the Chiefs would have won
1000%.
that game. And in return, the Eagles won.
Yeah, guys, he don't look good. Week 1, he looked awful, right? Literally colliding with his own player. Xavier Worthy's been out for 2 games because of it. This, I don't know. I don't know. I think this is his last year. He had a downfall year last year. I think he's doing one last hurrah. He's getting up there in age too, guys. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see. We'll see if he can get it back. Oh, last thing I want to say, Derrick Henry, he took the day off. Okay. I know that they won 41-17, but the Cleveland Browns knew every little thing that they needed to do to prevent that gentleman from doing anything with the football, as he torched me in both of my fantasy leagues. So I just want to make that statement out there. Lamar, though, still bringing his team to victory with throwing 5 touchdown passes. Dude is an absolute savage. So regular season Lamar at it again.
Derrick Henry, 2.3 points, 11 attempts, and 23 rushing yards. Very not Derrick Henry like, but he does have those games.
Yeah,
but for the Browns defense, you got to take something away, dude.
No,
yeah. So it was smart.
They game plan to take him away, and then Lamar just beat him with 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah. Well, listen, that brings us to our first time this season where the Doc Huddle. We're diving into injuries, everyone. So, notable injuries that we want to discuss from yesterday. We have Joe Burrow. That's the big talk of the town with the major turf toe injury. We have J.J. McCarthy. This is a very interesting one. He finished the entire game yesterday, guys. Came off of the field at the end of the game and reported having really bad ankle pain and ankle soreness. Did an MRI. Diagnosed with a high ankle sprain. Out 2 to 4 weeks. And then Justin Fields is out now in the concussion protocol. His return is TBD, to be determined. So let's just jump right into a little bit more about Joe Burrow, because his has been the big talk of the town, the big major loss for the Bengals. So turf toe injuries, guys, right? You have your big toe. The big toe is one of the most important areas of the body for all individuals, human beings, that allow us to walk upright and have a normal gait pattern. Forget about running and cutting and sprinting and dropping back and throwing passes and pushing off the back leg to generate force with his arm as he throws a football. How about walking? Okay, so every single time we walk, if you're walking correctly, your big toe is going to go into that extended position, and then you toe off. And every single time you're in that extended position, it's going to put a stretch on the plantar plate. So I'm going to pull up a picture here, bring this down. So that plantar plate is going to be right in the area where it says that MTP joint. Now, the MTP, the metatarsophalangeal joint, is that joint that I mentioned that bends. And underneath it, you have the plantar plate, which is made up of a bunch of ligaments that help support the toe. So when we go into that extended position, it puts a stretch on those ligaments, and then as we toe off, it recoils. If you go too far or with too much repetitive force, you can have an injury to those ligaments, and it's graded as grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Some notable players that have this currently, Malik Neighbors came into the season with turf toe. He still is dealing with turf toe. However, we saw how well he performed, having 2 major touchdowns and so much production, over 100 receiving yards with turf toe. He's got likely a grade 1. When you have a grade 3, that means that there's rupture to that plantar plate, those ligaments. And now as a result, surgery many times is indicated. The grade 3 turf toe injuries don't happen as often. Okay, most of the time you see these guys at grade 1, grade 2, and they linger throughout the season, and they can be daunting because you can't push off the ground to be able to help you run and sprint and go forward if this injury is pretty severe. So Joe Burrow now needing to undergo surgery. He's out 3 months plus. Guys, I'm telling you right now, 3 months, I think is I think that's a little
generous. That's generous. I don't see that. Yeah, no way.
Like this could turn into very quickly could turn into a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
I know that people are like, well, think about it. We're in September, right? October, November, December. And that's if we're lucky. Like you're looking at if
You're
I
middle
had
of December already. We're
if
already
I'm
middle of
betting
September.
money, right? No, exactly. If I'm betting money, we do not see Joe Burrow at least for the rest of the regular season.
1,000%.
So right, and then at that point, are they making the playoffs? Is he coming back? We'll see. This to me is very likely season ending. So where does that leave us? Right? I
I
mean,
think they need to trade for Jameis Winston.
well, listen
Well,
to me.
I have a question, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you
Let's hear
feel
it.
like? Well, and Chris, the sports enthusiast, how much do you guys feel like the artificial turf is contributing to players getting turf toe nowadays?
So
I know that at MetLife Stadium, I know the Giants players have complained about the artificial turf
which
and
was
getting a
just
lot of
changed
injuries,
going into, I believe, this year.
which
So it's
was
interesting.
relating to not just turf toe, but like ACLs and other knee injuries, basically anything planting. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: the turf toe gained its name turf toe because back when these injuries became more prevalent, when artificial turf was first being used, we're talking, decades ago, right? That's when the prevalence of this began, and we started seeing more of these injuries. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much this now has to do with the artificial turf in today's game. I can't speak to it simply because they do so much to the turf to make changes that, and I'd love to see, like, there's no definitive research out there that I know of that's stating the actual causation between the today's turf and this particular injury. I think that you're getting guys now that are training constantly that are getting a lot of towing off, and then you have also different postural positions. So in football especially, a lot of players assume this very extended posture because of having to block, you're taking on hits. Well, that changes how your anatomy is up and down the chain and how we absorb and propel forces off of the ground. So if my pelvis is oriented in a certain way, that's going to change how my feet are, and now that could change how well I can toe off the ground. And if I'm rolling off the inside of my toe, one, that's how things like bunions, or the medical term hallux valgus, occurs. And that can also create aberrant, weird strain and stiffening through the toe that can put more stress on that plantar plate, leading to other types of injuries like turf toe. So is it the turf? I don't know, but I do think that there's so many other reasons that can cause it that's more likely the case. Now, in Joe Burrow's case, his was done through trauma. If you look at the play, he fell forward and his big toe is in the extended position when a guy fell on him. So most of these turf toe injuries, like the Malik Neighbors ones that I mentioned earlier, I think happen more through like a chronic stress through the tissue that's just wearing and tearing at it, because he's likely missing range of motion from that joint amongst many others, versus when you just are in that extended position and a guy falls on you and it just ruptures the toe. Like, that's something totally different. Like, in my entire career and watching football, I haven't seen a guy collapse to the floor and not being and the athletic trainer not being able to touch the cleat because the toe hurt so bad. And that's what we witnessed with Joe Burrow yesterday, which to me is just an anomaly. Mm-hmm. You don't see that type of grade 3 rupture of that plantar plate often. It's more of like that chronic type of injury. So very interesting. What are your thoughts, MJB, as the other doctor in the room?
No, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't think that, because then if it was the actual artificial turf, we'd see this injury more prevalent, right? So like, I don't think that it's necessarily that.
I agree.
And in Joe Burrow's case, it's just one of those like unexpected. Someone falls on you and forces your big toe into hyperextension. Now the injury happens. Like, it's not like, something that you couldn't prevent that. If it's happening, it's happening. Like a guy falls on you, it's like, all right, well, it's gonna go. So yeah, I don't think that it's attributed to the turf. I just figured that we'd shed some light to our viewers, since hence the name turf toe. They probably assume, oh, I wonder if it has something to do with the turf. And it's like, well, it doesn't really have to. It's just the name that was provided to the actual injury.
Yeah, and
Exactly. That's a good
just
point.
a quick like research. I wanted to see what ChatGPT said with all the research, but it's just interesting that um it says that turf increases the risk, but kind of like you said, there's no guaranteed evidence. It's more of if the surface is not as flat and giving you the hyperextension more so than in grass. So it's named after it for that, but it's hard to give clear statistical evidence.
Yeah, and I think when turf first was provided, right?
Yes.
They don't
Yeah.
use AstroTurf now. The original AstroTurf it had very little give. So when you go to push off the ground, right, your foot can then say planted, and you're getting a big push and keep going. That can put an increase in strain on that on those ligaments at the plantar plate, as well as the other ligaments that you alluded to, Christopher, earlier in the show. With just planting and twisting type of injuries. I just don't think that that's how the turf is today. So I think that it originated, like its name originated from the original AstroTurf, but not in today's game, personally.
Mhm.
And I think the lack of evidence to support that claim is a good example of that. You know? So, so guys, moving on to fantasy, if I'm a fantasy football owner and I don't have an IR slot, thankfully we do in our league this year. Props to the commissioner over there. First time finally getting that done for us.
Just give me credit, and then you say that.
Right. So, with that being said, if you have an IR spot, you're moving Joe Burrow down to the IR spot until someone else may go on an IR that has a better opportunity to return. At that point, you're probably looking at dropping Joe Burrow. If, in fact, you do not have an IR spot and you are not willing to let go of some of your best players because it's too early in the season, it's okay to let go of Burrow. I really think it is, because I don't think you're going to have him back for the Fantasy Football League anyway, especially knowing that you have the 3-month plus mark we talked about. We think postseason at the earliest. You're looking at pretty much dropping Joey Ice. So we discussed, we have the J.J. McCarthy high ankle sprain, Justin Fields concussion. For our listeners, if anyone is interested in hearing the in-depths about J.J. McCarthy's high ankle sprain and how high ankle sprains occur, what that might look like, please leave a comment in our comment section, and we'll be sure to incorporate that in our upcoming shows. And without further ado, gentlemen, we got to find a replacement. So
yeah, absolutely.
Right. We got Joe Burrow out 3 months plus. So he's gone. If you're a Joe Burrow owner and you don't have a backup quarterback already, you're getting one this week, and he's going to be the guy unless you're making a trade. J.J. McCarthy, I don't know of how many people are running with him as their starter, but if they are in a 12, 14-man league, you may or may not find one of these quarterbacks available to you. And then same with Justin Fields, more in the 12 to 14-man leagues. If you're running with him and you took a chance on him as a mobile quarterback who can be very beneficial to have in a fantasy league. A couple of keynote players, Jake Browning, the backup to Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Dude balls, okay? Every single time Joe Burrow goes down, this guy comes in. He's a stud. I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, he went down. He became the starter for a couple days. Bengals set up his entire family in a suite, and they're all cheering with him and Joe Burrow's. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Joe Burrow, not the Bengals, because we know that Cincinnati doesn't take care of their players. But
damn, low ball.
Joe Burrow set up Jake Browning and his family with Joe Burrow's in Joe Burrow's suite, and he just balled out. I think that this is a guy who has unbelievable weapons, okay? Chase Brown going off every week.
Yeah, 241 yards, 2 TDs, and he came in late after the injury. So
right, I think this is a clear-cut signing. Honestly, because I don't think that he's not Joe Burrow, but I think that offense is going to continue to do well, and he's going to put up points for you. So this to me is a no-brainer for the Joe Burrow people. Daniel Jones, guys, he's 2 for 2, and I honestly don't see his production slowing down. He fits right into Shane Steichen's offense. I think that he's a viable option.
A great pick, yeah.
I think he's a viable option. Drake May also putting up large double digits, weeks 1 and 2, worth considering. And then the flyer here, I think Russell Wilson, if all these other guys are gone, you want to keep an eye on him. Listen, it was 1 game. But I think that what we saw, the Giants versus the Cowboys, we understand that this is what we thought might happen with the weapons that we have, with Russell's ability to throw the deep ball. If he continues to produce the way he did, even on a smaller scale, of course, than what he did yesterday, this could be a viable fantasy football option as well. Do you guys agree with these four? Give me some other guys that you like that are currently potentially the waiver wise.
I like the top two, the bottom two. I'm a big Drake May fan, and I've actually also been a huge fan of signing Russell for the issue of quarterback for the New York Giants. But I think that some leagues you can even grab Matthew Stafford. I think so, I was just checking to see if he was available in one of my leagues just for the hell of it, for this sake of this conversation. He is available, so I think that if he's also available, I think he's a valid start and a good pickup. But I like the top two options the best right now.
Yeah, I feel like out of all these guys, I trust Drake May the most. I don't know what Russell I'm getting.
I don't trust him.
Because I don't know what Russell I'm getting week to week. And then Daniel Jones, I mean, listen, 2 games, okay, great. But, man, we know 2-0 can go 2-6 in a heartbeat. So I want to wait. I want to wait and see more from the Colts. And then I'm just going purely off like Drake May surrounding supporting cast and the way he's looked these first 2 weeks. I think that I would put my trust more in him than any of these other guys. And I'm a huge I don't know if Aaron Rodgers should still be available in most leagues. So if he is,
production is ass.
I mean, 5 TDs, 2 interceptions. It's not the end of the world.
Fantasy production.
This past week he put up 203 passing yards, 1 TD. It was 12 fantasy points. However, week 1 he went off.
He did
4 TDs, 244 yards, over 33 fantasy points.
Fantasy points. Okay, fair.
So.
Okay, that's fair. I just.
But I'm still Drake May's my number 1 guy. But I'm saying if I'm not going off a guy off these lists.
So you wouldn't if you had Burrow, you wouldn't consider picking up Jake Browning and plugging him right back into that offense that relies on offensive production and has all those weapons?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I just don't know what to expect.
Well, I mean
it's not a bad take. Like if you need a quarterback, and I would not do it. You know what I mean? But if you ask me who I trust on this list, yeah, I'd probably would shy away from him just because of the unknown factor.
That's fair. I put him on the list because he didn't just produce yesterday. I feel like having seen him in this offense last year or 2 years ago, where he consecutively balled out for multiple games, I figured it earned him the spot to say, okay, we know he can throw the football and attack these targets. But we'll see. I mean, I personally think that you're going to see a lot of production out of that Bengals offense despite Burrow going down. I do.
I would agree.
Yeah. All right. So we have an update on tonight's game. Currently 14-10, Bucks over the Texans in the second quarter. And in preparation for tonight's game, again, Chargers are going to Las Vegas to play against the Raiders. We got our prescription parlay, gentlemen. So this one I think is pretty interesting. I kept it basic. All right. It's very difficult to place really good bets. I always say weeks 1 through 4 are the hardest to bet in the NFL because we're still learning what these teams are and what they have to offer us. And week 1, things look great. I placed a couple of bets this weekend based off of what we saw in week 1. Guess what? The complete opposite occurred. Okay? The complete opposite in week 2. So we're going off of the fact that both of these teams love to run the football. It's going to be smash mouth football between two iconic coaches that have a large history playing one another. And I think Armarian Hampton is going to get a touchdown today. I think that Quentin Johnson, I have been the biggest critic to this guy. Biggest critic. But after week 1, he went off, right, with how good their passing game looked over there with the Chargers. So I think Justin Herbert finds him again for at least 25 receiving. Okay, Brock Bowers, he is healthy enough to play today. I think he gets at least 40 yards receiving. And then me personally, I am rooting for the Raiders. Well, I'll be sleeping, but I'll be waking up hoping that the Raiders won. But I think that the Chargers are just too strong of a team for the Raiders to overcome, and I think that they take the cake here, going Chargers money line. If you bet on Fanatics this evening, everyone, okay, Fanatics having a Monday Night Football 50% profit boost. So I went with Fanatics, bringing my plus 345 to plus 517, 10 to win 61. It's a safe bet. We're not going huge tonight. What do you think about this week's prescription?
So I'm surprised that you took Omarion Hampton over Ashton Jeanty. Did you think about going with Ashton Jeanty?
I did. And Omarion Hampton was minus 125 for anytime touchdown. Ashton Jeanty minus 110. Very similar, but that tells me that Vegas thinks that Hampton is likely going to get this touchdown more than Jeanty. And if I had to guess why, it's because I think that the overall offensive push from the Chargers is going to be greater than that of the Raiders against the Chargers defensive front. So I think that we're going to have a very productive day for Omarion Hampton because, I'm not sold on that defensive front from the Raiders after Christian Wilkins is right. He's not there anymore. So their ability to stop the run, I feel like, is still in question. And that, to me, was the sole reason why I said, all right, I'm going to give the edge to Hampton being able to run through the tackles and goal line and get themselves a score. What do you guys think?
I think it's very possible. I don't know. I'm feeling Ashton Jeanty with a TD. I'm feeling him, but it's possible. I mean, listen, I have Omarion Hampton. I have Omarion Hampton in fantasy, so I hope he does it.
Part of me wanted me to go both Omarion Hampton and Ashton Jeanty anytime touchdown, but I told myself, I'm like, let me keep it simple, and I listen. I feel like in order for the Raiders to win this game, Jeanty's going to have to run the football, and I feel like we're still waiting for that big breakout game. Right? It's only been 1 week. We haven't seen that big breakout game from Ashton Jeanty or Omarion Hampton for that matter. But unfortunately, I just don't think we're going to see that game from Jeanty tonight. I just think that the Chargers defense is pretty damn good.
No, I like your parlay a lot. I mean, I probably wouldn't have changed much when I was trying to create mine earlier. Yeah, I ended up picking Jeanty as well, but that doesn't mean that Omarion Hampton is not going to get it either. He's just the person that popped up, and I was like, yeah, that should be a lock.
It should be. I hope it is. I mean, and I tell everyone, like, listen, for those who are listening, I also posted this on the Dog Settle Instagram already, so that way our viewers and our followers there would get this information before tonight's 10 p.m. kickoff. Like, guys, use this as the format. If you want to add Jeanty to this and really beef up that parlay, that would be a sweet win and payout. They'll probably get you up closer to $100, and I'm all for it. I just decided to play it a little bit safer, knowing that I didn't have as much success yesterday.
Fair enough.
So that's why we rolled with it like that. So to wrap up, gentlemen, let's just quickly talk a little bit more about tonight's game for the Monday Night Preview before we end today's show. Legend, let's get your take.
I'm going with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are just a more well-balanced team. I think they're just further along in their development of their team than the Raiders, right? Like Raiders, first year, they're putting things together. I think this is figure out who you are and then add pieces to that for the following season. I think Chargers are in prime position to be ready. Two, I mean, you see how bad the Chiefs are playing. They could supersede them and potentially win the division. So I think that Chargers win tonight, and I think convincingly, I think they win by 10.
I like it. Sports enthusiast?
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers as well. I just think that their defense is better overall, which would keep them in the game regardless. But I like Justin Herbert. I like Ladd McConkey. I think they're still going to move the ball. I just think the Chargers are taking the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think divisional game. I think it's going to be close game to start, and then unfortunately the Chargers. And I say unfortunately just because I tend to root for the Raiders growing up. We rooted for the Raiders quite often, but 24-10 Chargers pull away here, and I think that that offense becomes too high powered. They can't. The Raiders just can't stop it. We'll see what happens. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that being said, we want to thank everyone for listening to our Week 2 wrap up and Monday Night Football preview. We want everyone to stay tuned for next week. We're going to be doing similar. We're wrapping up Week 3 and discussing the Monday Night Football game to come as well with another prescription parlay, maybe more than one, for the Monday night game. So until then, for CJ the Sports Enthusiast, Dr. MJB the Legend, I'm Dr. Mikey B. See everyone next week.